The biggest buzzword these days is Metaverse. I've been getting non-stop questions like, what app do I download to use the Metaverse? Where's the best place to buy land in the Metaverse? Which Metaverse is the best one? Wah! Ever since Mark Zuckerberg shared his vision of the Metaverse with the world, everyone sees the Metaverse as this cartoony virtual reality place where you play games with your friends that may or may not have something to do with cryptocurrency. I'm here to tell you everything you know about the Metaverse is wrong. In this video, I'll walk you through everything you need to know about what the Metaverse is, what it does, and why it's important. What's going on, guys? I am Raul on a stool, and the purpose of this channel is to make the world of blockchain, DeFi, and NFTs more accessible to everyone and anyone, even you. The first thing I'll get off my chest is that the Metaverse doesn't exist yet. Well, not really, not like you think. Is virtual reality the Metaverse? No, but yes. Is buying virtual land the Metaverse? No, but yes. Does the Metaverse need the blockchain? That's kind of up for debate. The Metaverse is the internet. They're the same thing. Metaverse is just a sexy word that people use to describe what the future version of the internet might look like. You may have heard of another term, Web 3.0, which is pretty much the same thing, albeit some differences, and I'll make a separate video on that in the future. If I could define the Metaverse in one word, it would be a three-dimensional, game engine-driven reimagining of our current two-dimensional version of the internet. Obviously, that's leaving a lot of stuff out, and you may be more confused. So for me to properly explain the Metaverse, I'm gonna need to break it up into a few parts: spatial computing, game engines, virtual environments, and virtual economies. I actually got inspiration for this video from an article on Medium, which I'll share the link for down below. Okay, here's a quick history lesson. Before calculators, scientists and mathematicians used to have to write out all their difficult computations on paper. That means they would waste weeks, months, and a forest's worth of paper just to solve one problem. That's why computers were invented, to help them compute stuff. The early version of the computer required people to actually move wires around for the computer to perform whatever function they needed. Then punch cards were invented, which are pretty much cards with holes in them that had instructions for the computer to perform specific functions. Then MS-DOS came around, and computer programmers were actually able to type in commands for the computer to perform, just like you would see a hacker do on a crime show. This version of the computer was unusable for anyone other than skilled programmers. There's no way a normal person would know where to even start. So then came along the graphic user interface, or the GUI. A GUI is pretty much what you're used to seeing now when you turn on a computer. You got your background with some kind of landscape, you have icons that represent different computer applications, and you have searchable websites. So if you see where I'm going with this, it seems like every decade or so, computers are just getting easier and more intuitive for us to use. Layers of abstraction are continuously being peeled off. I mean, nowadays you could just talk to Siri on your phone and she'll perform way more difficult computations than whatever the old computers were able to do. Even if that's the case though, there's still room for improvement. We take for granted the motor skills and technical aptitude it requires to use computers nowadays. The older generation didn't grow up with this stuff, so for them it's a little more difficult. The next obvious step is using 3D space. We're 3D people living in the 3D world. This is how we're used to interacting with the world. We swing our limbs around, we grab stuff, we move in 3D space. Let's focus on gaming for a second. Your 70-year-old grandmother might not know how to play Fortnite, but if you put some Wii tennis on, she'll know that if she swings her arm in the direction of the ball's gonna go in the other direction. It's so easy, a caveman could do it. This easy to use, more intuitive version of the internet is already being brought about by technologies like virtual reality, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, voice recognition, and game engines, which will all revolutionize the way we interact with data. Okay, so talking about game engines. Game engines are the software tools that game developers use to build video games. The characters, the environments, the landscapes, the physics, the lighting. The latest game engine graphics are ridiculous and hyper-realistic. And it's not just in video games. Game engines are also used for movies and television for things like computer-generated images or CGI, which nowadays are crazy realistic. I mean, LeBron James just shot a Super Bowl commercial with his 17-year-old self. All of that was possible because of game engines. The software has gotten better, the super fast semiconductor chips are getting better, and there's no telling what this is gonna look like 10 years from now. That's why I hate that we see virtual reality as this cartoony thing where we could play tennis with Mark Zuckerberg's stupid avatar. Movies like Ready Player One have already shown us the crazy possibilities that exist for virtual reality. But I get it, the word game and game engine could be off-putting. I mean, when you hear game, you think of something recreational and not serious, but that's not the case at all. Game engines can be used to create digital twins and are already used for this purpose. Companies like Palantir are finding enterprise use cases all over the place to create digital versions of your power plant or your warehouse, your highway system, all kinds of things. Digital twins are also used for flight training, military training, weather simulation. Eventually, game engines will be so powerful you can make a digital twin of the entire planet. Metaverse projects like Earth 2 are already doing this, and I'll make a separate video just for that. Next is virtual environments. Right now, when we think of virtual environments, we think of socially interacting as these virtual avatars. It's much more than that. An example of a virtual environment is virtual conferencing applications like Zoom. Teledoc is another one where you're virtually interacting with your doctor instead of going into the doctor's office. The pandemic started normalizing these things, which are the necessary baby steps for real-world applications of the virtual internet. I mean, even if we're talking about just virtual reality as in the VR headsets that people put on and play games with, they're already doing a whole lot of cool things like going to virtual theme parks, riding on virtual roller coasters, going to virtual concerts with real celebrity appearances. And who do you think is paying attention to this? You guessed it, big businesses. They see this as a massive opportunity to create new revenue streams, attract new customers, and advertise their products. Big tech companies and fashion brands are eating up this opportunity and are buying virtual land left and right. And I mean millions of dollars of literally virtual tiles, which they will use in the future to build their own virtual worlds and experiences. And today you're used to the very two-dimensional websites and social media pages that businesses create, but the future, they're gonna replace those with virtual stores where they can sell virtual accessories that you could use to identify yourself in the metaverse. This isn't new. People are always looking for new ways to express who they are, their value, and their identity with things like fashion, cars, taking cool pictures for social media. So why wouldn't they do the same thing for VR? I bet there's even gonna be a virtual reality version of the blue checkmark from Instagram for celebrities. This is why so much money is going into buying land in the metaverse. We know that it's only a matter of time before big brands like Gucci, Disney, Warner Brothers start wanting to build their own virtual experiences. And if you own virtual land that they want, they will pay you whatever you ask for. This is a massive opportunity and we're still at the ground floor of it. But again, remember, I'm not a financial advisor and this is not financial advice. The other technology we're sleeping on is augmented reality or AR, which is my favorite because it has the most real world use cases. I envision the future version of the internet being the blurring of the lines between what the real world is and what the digital world is, especially as AR and VR headsets become less bulky and more fashionable. Companies like Apple and Microsoft are already working on this. Instead of carrying your phone around all day, you're most likely gonna have some sort of augmented reality glasses or headset, which you're gonna walk around with, watch videos, look at the weather, listen to your music, all by just waving your hands in the air or talking to Siri. The true metaverse is gonna be a combination of you lucidly interacting with all these different devices that are connected to the World Wide Web. We're already halfway there. Fitness trackers, smart watches, Google Home and Alexa, smart TVs. Okay, last but not least is virtual economies. Since the metaverse is the internet, and the internet isn't owned by anybody, how do you create a metaverse that isn't owned by anybody? Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. Oh, sorry, I got allergies. But seriously, for the metaverse to work for everybody, the way the internet does today, we need the blockchain, in my opinion. No one country or company should be able to decide what's best for the metaverse. It should be community driven. In addition, if we're selling land, buildings, and advertisement spots in the virtual world, we need to be able to assign property rights to digital and virtual goods. That's what NFTs are. NFTs aren't just JPEG files. NFTs are a contract that can be whatever you want them to be. JPEGs are just the easiest user interface that we have for it today. There's no telling what it's gonna look like in the future. Plus, they're a public record of ownership. which can be used as real world or virtual world ID cards, tickets to parks and events, and exclusive access to particular virtual locations. This is what the metaverse actually is. It's not one single platform for buying virtual land in a video game. It's the connection of millions of virtual worlds, just like the internet is the connection of millions of computers. The metaverse is not here to replace the internet, it is the internet, and it will change the way we do everything. I hope you got some value out of this video. Please make sure to leave a like and comment down below. What do you want me to talk about next? Subscribe to my channel for more content like this, and I'll catch you on the next one.